Friday Radio, it's episode 177. I'm calling it that despite the fact that there was no episode 176, but I need the numbers to continue. I like the math. I like Tuesday being a 7. All right. Or a 2. So I'm going to figure out what to do with the archive thing. We just didn't do a show yesterday. I shouldn't say I intended to do a show. There was a chance I was going to do a show, but I was busy yesterday. I knew that. And then it was like I was going to pre-record something and put it on, but I didn't do that. And it didn't work. It didn't work yesterday to do a show because I was busy, and I couldn't do a show live at 10 a.m. yesterday. So I set myself up to maybe do something like a quick live stream from out on the road. It didn't work. I took a day off, but I don't have there's no method yet for what to do when I'm not going to do a show. So 177 episodes in, I think this is the maybe second one. 176 is maybe the second one that doesn't exist. But I don't have a thing. Like, if I was just on a radio station, we'd just have something else play. Although that wasn't true either at LVL. Like, the first 100 episodes were on a radio station, and then the day that I couldn't do a show, there just wasn't a show. So I was super sick, and I had like a sore throat, and I couldn't talk, and I still just did the show anyway, and I just played stuff. I sat there and I played stuff. But if I can't be in the chair to sit and do the stuff, I don't have a system yet. So I apologize to the millions of people who tried to tune in yesterday and didn't get to hear the show, but I was busy. I'm sorry. Also, today is a unique episode in that it's episode 177, and I always talk about how everything except for the opening segment of the show is planned. That is not the case today. I've shown this a few times. Here's the sheet for this is today's show. Ready? Here's what we know. We know that it's Tuesday. It's the 30th of September. It's episode 177, and here's what we're going to talk about over the course of the show. I have no idea. I don't know. Because I haven't done a show I have confidence in the fact that there is zero preparation put into this show. Aside from living for 4 days between the last show and now, there's nothing. I didn't write anything down. I think I have a couple notes on my phone somewhere. But aside from that, this is the least prepared. This is a nothing. Like, if you're here for adventure, stick around. If you're here to hear a very well-prepared presentation to our presentation, like I usually do. I usually have, like half of it's prepared and half of it's winging it. This is nothing is written down. So this is just, fly by the seat of my pants type of deal for 2 hours. There's going to be 2 hours of this. We're already at 10:13, so that's pretty good. Also, it was a whole weekend of football that has not yet been discussed. I haven't talked about the Bills. I haven't talked about the rest of the NFL. I haven't talked about UB yet. I haven't talked about any of the things that I've done so many things. So what you're getting now is if I showed up at your house and you were like, "How was your weekend?" And then I just started talking, but then you didn't talk. It was just me talking the whole time. That's essentially what you're going to get today, because I'm exhausted. Yesterday, I'm going to tell the story of yesterday. That's going to take up half the show. Just yesterday is incredible. There was a Bills game. I don't have excuse me. I don't think I have a guest. My biggest regret about not doing a show yesterday is that I didn't remember to tell Scott that officially we weren't doing a show yesterday. So at like 1:10 p.m. yesterday, I noticed a text from Scott at 11:05. No, at 10:55 saying, I got to wait till like 5 after or 10 after before I can come on. And that was yesterday. And then 2 hours later, I was like, I'm sorry, there's no show. So I'm sorry to Scott Wilson. I apologize to our hero, Scott Wilson, who's our football correspondent. He's our Hallmark correspondent. He's on twice a week. And then I just blew him off yesterday. I forgot. I forgot to do everything. I forget to do stuff. I have too much stuff going on, and I forget things sometimes, and I'm sorry. I apologize for my inability to remember to do all the stuff I'm supposed to do. I'm going to start with what happened yesterday, and then we'll go from there. And I don't know. Maybe we'll have a guest. Maybe somebody will want to join in. Maybe somebody will call in, and we'll just throw them on the air. But I don't have a full plan, and I'm sorry. Like back by tomorrow, we'll be back to doing the normal show. But yesterday was no show. Yesterday's lack of a show was brought to you by Brian Janik at thefinancialguys.com. He is a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, and it costs no money to talk to him, and he helps you. And it costs no money like to talk to him, and then he takes you through his whole service, and he helps you, and it's free to you. He makes money from insurance companies, not from you. So he's going to talk to you. He's going to advise you on, especially if you're approaching the age of 65 and about to hit Medicare. He helps you through, like, navigate that whole process in your life and saves you the trouble. So, good dude, helpful, sponsor of Writer Radio is Brian Janik. Go to thefinancialguys.com. You'll find him there. We'll have him on the show at some point soon. I'll see him in a couple days. We'll talk. We'll come up with some new, exciting way to promote what he does to you. A new, exciting way to talk about my insurance guy, Brian. I know that sounds fake, right? But what I'm telling you is it's not exciting. It's boring. It's lame. But you don't want to do it. You don't want to try to figure all that crap out. He knows it. So he'll hook you up. And it's free. So, Brian Janik, thefinancialguys.com. Thank you for sponsoring Writer Radio. Thank you to all the future sponsors of Writer Radio as well. All the stuff that's about to happen, I'd like to thank people in advance for what's going on here. We won't use this episode as an example of what they're buying, because this episode is just me talking. This is nothing. This is everything I hate about, like, podcasts. Is what I'm doing right now. Oh, I'm going to do a show now. What are you going to do it about? I don't know. Nothing. I know that I've got 4 days of crap stored in my brain that will fall out of my mouth over the course of the next hour and a half. But I don't know what it is. So, all right, I'm going to tell you about yesterday. Then we're going to do the Bills game and the NFL in general and where we stand. The Ravens played the Chiefs. Dolphins played the Jets last night. Tyreek Hill is, I don't know, never going to play football again is what it looks like. Which, if you were to pick one player in the NFL where you're like, I'm okay with him getting hurt, who would you choose? I'm not going to say I'm happy that Tyreek Hill was injured. I would never say I'm happy that Tyreek Hill is not in the league this year anymore. I wouldn't say that. That's terrible. But if you were going to pick a player that couldn't play anymore, who would you choose? Not even as a Bills fan, because I don't fear the Dolphins at all, but as a fan of, like, humans, as a fan of women, like, you don't want them beaten. Like, let's say you think that women shouldn't be repeatedly beaten by NFL players. Like, who would you choose if you were ever going to cheer an injury? Who would you pick? I'm not saying I would pick Tyreek Hill. I'm just asking who you would pick if you were going to root for an injury and say, good, get out of here. Get off my TV. Don't be on here anymore. Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill suffered a knee dislocation and multiple ligament tears during his team's win over the Jets on Monday Night Football. They improved to 1-3. Look out for the Dolphins. They're 1-3 now. Look out for Tua. Here he comes. Look out for Mike McDaniel. Here he comes. Look out for not Tyreek Hill. He's out. I would never root for an injury, ever. But if someone had to be hurt, from playing this sport that we all love, that we all watch. I'm just asking who you would root for to be the guy who's out for the year. Doesn't get to play, doesn't get to be on TV anymore. I'm just asking you. I wouldn't pick a person ever, but who would you pick? Knee dislocation, multiple ligament tears. He's expected to have season-ending surgery today to repair his ACL. He remains hospitalized. His agent, Drew Rosenhaus, said he rode in the ambulance to the hospital with Hill in the second half, the first time he's ever done that with a client. What's that mean? That's weird. Drew Rosenhaus has been around forever. I have his phone number, I think. I'm not calling Drew Rosenhaus. Actually, I think I have 2 phone numbers for him, and I doubt either works at this point. It's been a while. All right, here's the quote from Rosenhaus. He said, "Are there any torn ligaments? Is there torn cartilage? Are there any broken bones? To check on the blood flow, any, God forbid, nerve damage? All of this is getting checked out. We don't know the extent of the injury. Doctors have told me he dislocated his knee, which I think was apparent for everyone who watched the horrific play. But what that means and the extent of the damage and whether he'll need surgery, to what extent, all of that we should find out within the next couple hours." When's this story posted? An hour ago. But what that means and the extent that did that. Footage showed Hill immediately go down in pain and call for assistance. Team medical personnel put an air cast on his leg, and he waved to the crowd and smiled as he was carted off to the locker room. He did do a really good job of seeming very upbeat, almost crazy. He looked crazy. He had a big, like, Joker-like grin on his face, was clapping his hands loudly, kind of rooting on his team. I like that. It was fun, but it made him seem crazy. I would never root for an injury. Quote from Mike McDaniel, another favorite here on the show. He was probably in the best spirits of any player that I've ever seen have such a terrible experience. He immediately had wide eyes and was talking, "I'm good. Just make sure the guys get this win." He was focused on the team. Or he's crazy. Or he might just be nuts. We won't see him for a while. That looked like we won't see, and what we saw combined with what I just read, never again? Maybe? I would never root for a player to never play in the league again. But the question to you is, if you were ever to root for a player to never play in the league again, who would it be? Might it be Tyreek Hill? Tyreek Hill's history is not super positive. Things about him in real life are not great. And then things about him on the football field, like, of course, we have our problems enjoying his professional career as fans of the Buffalo Bills. So I would... The statement I would like to make is that I would never root for a career-ending injury to a football player. But if you were to ever root for a career-ending injury to a football player, who would it be? Who would that player be? Thoughts and prayers for Tyreek Hill. The Bills won. That's what they do. There are only 2 unbeaten teams left in the NFL. One of them is the Buffalo Bills. One's the Eagles, but they're on the other side of things, so we don't have to worry about them until February. Fine. At some point, they'll lose a game, right? They're up to, I think, 18, maybe 19 consecutive wins in games where Jalen Hurts starts and finishes the game. They just win all their games. That's what they do. But so do the lowly Buffalo Bills. The never won a Super Bowl Buffalo Bills. The 0 for 4 in the spotlight Buffalo Bills. 0 for 4 without Josh Allen, though. So there's that. I want to get to the game. All right. This is why it's okay. This is why it's okay that my preparation for the show is this. It's because I didn't get to either of the 2 main things I want to talk about. We're at 10:25, and so far I've talked about Tyreek Hill, who's injured, and it's very sad. It's very sad to see a guy like Tyreek Hill knocked out for the year and maybe forever. It's terrible. I feel very, very bad about it. Because it's just, you hate to see it happen to a person like Tyreek Hill, don't you? Don't you hate that? I'm sure you do. We would never root for a career-ending injury to a football player. But if you were to root for one, might it be for your least favorite player in the league? It might. I don't know. I would never say that. But that might be a thing. Do you have him on your fantasy team? That might bother you, right? That might be the one hang up on Tyreek Hill being out. But bye. Sorry. See you soon or never, which would be terrible. Terrible is the word I'm looking for. It would be terrible. I would never root for a career-ending injury. Well, I would almost never root for a career-ending injury to a football player. Okay. Yesterday. The reason there was no show yesterday is that I played in a golf tournament yesterday. The golf tournament was at Gowanda Country Club, which is fantastic. I've never been there before. Had never been there before. I went there yesterday. It was great. The opposite end of the spectrum of the Tyreek Hills of the world. Let's talk about the guy we dealt with yesterday. A guy I dealt with yesterday. Hung out with. He was awesome. So Thomas Ian Nicholas, who's been on the show, he was Henry Rowengartner in Rookie of the Year, movie from 1993. He then was in American Pie and all of the sequels, or most of the sequels, all the real ones. There were a lot of straight to VHS ones. It's almost like Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn came out in 1984. And then I looked it up the other day, and there are 9 sequels or reboot or remake. We might be at 12 Children of the Corn movies. There are a lot of American Pie movies, but there were, I think, 4 real ones. The first one, obviously, the sequel, there was a wedding one, and there was a reunion one. I think those are the 4 real ones that had the vast majority of the cast back. And Thomas Ian Nicholas, who from here on out I'll just call Tom, was Kevin. It's the very straightforward, plain, regular, nice guy in those movies. And Tara Reid was his love interest. He's cool. We like him. So anyway, I pick him up at a hotel yesterday. This has really happened. This is real life. This is what I was doing while I was not doing a show for you. Okay. Played in a golf tournament. We've talked about the golf tournament multiple times. Dave Dombrowski is my buddy. He set it up. It was all to benefit the Spina Bifida Clinic at Oshai Children's Hospital. And he was on the show back when it was a radio show. He was on episode 96, 97, something like that, to talk about this tournament that he was putting together. And then an episode or 2 later, Tom, we're calling him Tom now, Thomas Ian Nicholas, was on the show. And we didn't know for sure yet, but we thought probably he was going to come in for the tournament. And he did. He was here. Somehow I ended up in charge of picking him up at the hotel. So yesterday, instead of talking to you, I was driving in a car with Henry Rowengartner from Rookie of the Year, was in the back of the car, back of the truck. My buddy Josh was in the front. I was driving, and we went to Gowanda, and then we played golf. And for golf, we were together. It was the 3 of us, me, Josh, Tom, and Mark Gaughan. Not Bob Gaughan, not the grinder. This is the regular Gaughan, not the lunatic Gaughan. The lunatic Gaughan that's on once a week with us, who is the best. I love Bob. But Mark's like a regular person. So his brother and me and Josh played golf with Thomas Ian Nicholas at this tournament yesterday. And I couldn't possibly have enough good things that came out wrong. I couldn't possibly say all the good things that I want to say about the experience that I had. Like, it's why I felt comfortable. I came home, I hung out with my family for a little bit, I watched football for a little bit, and then I just went to sleep. Like, it's fine. I know I didn't prepare for this show, but it'll be fine. I'll just talk. First thing that happened. So I go to the hotel. I told Tom, I texted Tom the night before, I'll pick you up at 9 o'clock. He said, sounds good. I pull into, like, right in the front of the hotel, in the little, like, drive-through, drop-off your luggage part of the hotel. And I texted him. I parked there. I said pulled through. I did not. I pulled into that spot right in front of the front door. And I sent a text to Tom and said, I'm out front. I described my truck. He said, sounds good. I'll be down in 7 minutes. He had just gotten, as it turns out, he had just gotten out of the shower, and that's fine. It was no rush. Tea time's 11 o'clock. It's going to take us about an hour to get there. It's 9. I can wait till 9:07 for Tom to get, down to the truck. So I'm sitting there, and about 5 minutes later, he said he'd be down in 7. I believed him. It was correct. It was probably 8, but it was right around there. He was good. I'm sitting in front of the hotel waiting for this Hollywood guy to come down, who I've never met, but we've talked on the phone once and texted several times. And I'm there to pick this guy up because this is my life. This is what I do. This is stupid. It's crazy. And I'm waiting, and I'm like playing a game on my phone, listening to a podcast. It was the Hip podcast that I've talked about many times. The countdown thing. They're up to number 3 now. Numbers 1 and 2 will be revealed. And I had that right. I had numbers 1 and 2 correct. I think, unless something comes out of left field. But I've been tracking it a little bit. And I think that the top 2 Tragically Hip songs, as determined by the listeners of this particular podcast, will be in some order Ahead by a Century and Grace 2. And I think Grace 2 will be number 1, but I don't know. That was my prediction 9 months ago when this thing was started, is that Grace 2 would be 1. It's funny, it's got 2 in the name, but it's TOO. But it'll be 1. Could be 2. But the top 2 are going to be those. So I'm listening to that, waiting to find out what number 3 is. It was 38 years old, by the way, it was number 3. I didn't see that one coming. I like the song, but I didn't see that being number 3. I'm waiting for Thomas Ian Nicholas, who played Henry Rowengartner in Rookie of the Year in 1993, to come out of the hotel. And I guess he's not there anymore, so I can say what hotel he was in. It's the Marriott on Millersport, right by UB. So I'm sitting in front of the Marriott, waiting for Henry Rowengartner, basically, to come out. And I'm playing a game on my phone or messing around with my phone, reading text. I don't even know. And I'm not staring at the door. The point is that I'm not staring at the front door. But the front door is in my periphery because it's to my right. I'm right here. The thing's over there. And out of the corner of my eye, what do I see but a dude walking out of the Marriott? There's not a lot of activity. That was the point I was going to make. Not a lot of activity at 9 a.m. at the Marriott in Amherst on Monday, September 29th. There's nothing going on. I didn't feel any guilt about just parking where I was parked because nobody's coming in, nobody's going out, nothing's happening at 9 a.m. at the Marriott on a Monday in September in Amherst. And the first person to walk out the door while I'm waiting for a guy, he's 45 now, he's not a kid anymore. He's small though, so he seems childlike. He's like 5'7". I'm waiting for Henry Rowengartner to get in my truck. This is real life. This is what happened to me yesterday. I think it's worth talking about, all right? I'm waiting for him to get in my truck. The first person to come out of the hotel after Tom says, I'll be down in 7 minutes, then 5 minutes later, the first person to walk through that door is wearing a Cubs jersey. No kidding. Henry Rowengartner played for the Cubs. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1993. The first guy that walks out the door is wearing a Cubs jersey. Oh, here comes Tom. He's got his shirt on. It wasn't him. It was a different guy. It was like a heavier dude. My first thought was Henry looks like crap. I was like, that's not him. Imagine the scenario where that's the weirdest thing. Like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever been asked to do? This might be mine. Drive to the Marriott at 9 o'clock, pick up a guy from a movie you loved from 30-something years ago. And in the movie, he was a Cub. And while you're sitting there, the guy that walks out of the hotel is wearing a Cubs jersey. It turned out to be a Ryne Sandberg jersey. R.I.P., H-O-F, all that stuff. Sandberg, love Sandberg. I love Ryne Sandberg. He's dead. Died recently, maybe this year, maybe last year. I think this year. But it's just a guy in a Cubs jersey. And my first thought was Henry looks like crap because he was way heavier than I remember Henry Rowengartner being. Now, at the time, he was 12 or 13 years old, so it makes sense that he's bigger. But waiting for this guy to get in the car, the first person that shows up is another guy in a Cubs jersey. 2 minutes later, Tom walks out, and he's just a regular person. He's more a rock star now than he is actor. He's still acting. He's still doing all the stuff. But eventually he walks out and he doesn't have golf clubs. He's got a guitar. His golf clubs are waiting for him at the course. Not his, but he's borrowing them. But he brought a guitar because he eventually performed at the end of the tournament. 38 minutes in, I've told one story, and it's that there was a fat guy in a Cubs jersey walking out of the Marriott yesterday. But again, this is kind of what the show is going to be like today. It's me making stuff up from now. And I'm not making it up. I'm making up the contents of the show. I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. These are the things that happened. But this is why I felt like it was okay. Because this is the kind of day I had. I have a strange life. As has been pointed out to me many times by Josh, my buddy Josh, who's going to be a topic of this show because he was involved in all of this yesterday. But the reason he was there yesterday, the reason I invited him to play golf with me, Tom, Mark Gone, Bob's brother, the reason I invited him to be a part of the foursome is that he often laughs at me, and I won't say makes fun of me, but sort of. Like, we laugh together. Because he often says things like, your life isn't real. What you do isn't real. So when I have one of these, this doesn't seem real type of moments or days, I'd like him to participate. So he did. And I think he appreciated it just as much as I did. Maybe more. Because I've been through weird stuff like this. This is the life of being, in and around the media. You just kind of hang out and stuff like this happens. Sometimes you have to pick up Henry Rowengartner from a hotel. It's just something you have to do. And so having Josh as a part of it was important to me and made it more fun. And I saw out of the corner of my eye again that I have a text from him. And I told him yesterday, I'm like, you might need to come on and talk about how ridiculous this day was. And I don't know if he's available because he works like a regular person. But he took yesterday off to be a part of this thing. So shout out to Josh. Shout out to Mark Gone, who was great. He was our golfer. We had a golfer. I hadn't played all year. Tom hadn't played all year. Josh hadn't played in like 10 years or something. And we still were fine. We shot par, which is not a great score in a scramble. But it was kind of a great score for us. Like, if you were handicapping the whole thing, we might have won. I think 12 under par was the winner. We shot par and felt great about it. It was awesome. Super cool event. It was the Back Tee Golf Classic that we've been promoting on the show probably 4 different times. I think I've had Dave Dombrowski on. He's the guy who put it together. And yesterday was such a success that for sure it will be a thing next year. And it's going to grow. I appreciate new things that are growing, you know, especially considering what we're up to here with Rider Radio. So it was awesome. We didn't even pick up Josh yet in my story. And we're at 10:41 a.m. So there's a lot more to say about that. I haven't mentioned the Bills game yet. They won. I mentioned it, but we haven't gotten into that. So that's kind of what we're going to get today is stream of consciousness. What did Brad do over the weekend as he apologizes for not doing a show yesterday? But it just wasn't going to happen. I set it up on my phone so that at any point I could be like, yeah, fine, let's go live. But it just didn't make sense when I was on Union Road in West Seneca on my way to Gowanda, pulling out of a Tim Hortons with Josh and Tom in the truck. I could have been like, all right, yeah, let's go live. But what was I going to do? I didn't want to do it. So I didn't. I was set up. I was ready. I could have streamed. It would have been audio only, but it could have happened. There could have been a show 176, but that is lost to history. Number 176 does not exist. And I'm just going to go on with the numbering system because I like how it works for me mentally, knowing that every Friday ends in a 0 or a 5, so I know what day of the week it is just by the number. It just makes sense to me. So there's just going to be a blank spot. If you're following, the podcast feed, you don't listen live. At the end of today's show, you'll see 177. You will never see 176. It doesn't exist. It's gone. But I'm still just leaving it blank as opposed to making today 176 and screwing up my number system. Sorry. All right. More on that and also the Bills and the NFL. And is there anything else that's like front and center? Tyreek Hill, we already did. All right. Music. We'll be back in a minute. I'll be back in a minute. Maybe Josh will join me because it would be better to just not do a monologue talking about an entire day of golfing with a, I don't want to call him a minor celebrity. He's a celebrity, but like I ran into 2 guys I went to high school with were there. And I was standing there with Tom and I just introduced him as Tom. And they're like, hi, Tom. And they got on with their lives and had no idea that they were talking to a guy that they clearly have seen in multiple movies because he's like got a beard and long hair and scruffy and just kind of looks more rock and roll than Rowengartner, I guess. But they didn't even notice. And I talked to them afterwards, like, did you even, like, oh, that's who that was. Oh, that's cool. It was weird. So it was a weird day, but it was a cool day. Super cool. So thanks to everybody involved in that. We're going to play music. And then I'll be back. It's Rider Radio, episode 177. We're winging it today, but I think it'll be fine. Rider Radio, episode 177. We continue. We'll take you up until noon or thereabouts. Usually ends up going a little longer than that, but that's what I promise. And I failed to deliver on my promise yesterday of a live show 10 to noon every day. Couldn't make it happen. Tried to do something. It just, no, it didn't fit into my life. And you know what? Everyone's fine. No one was injured in the lack of a show yesterday. You just get double today. Just more stuff. We didn't even get to the Bills game. I didn't talk about the Bills game yet. They beat the Saints. There we go. No, I did. All right, that's enough. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I forgot about that part of the song. Oh, you can hear the edit there. Ugh. It's not an edit. It's just a loop. Here we go. Here we go. All right, shut that off. Shut up. You stop with your dumb music. All right. I've pointed out already that today's show this is the least prepared I've ever been for an episode of Writer Radio. 177 episodes in. This is the only one where I've had nothing written down to discuss, but it's because I have a full day of stuff yesterday to talk about and a full weekend of NFL. Like, here's what's bad. If I do a show on a Wednesday and then wake up on a Thursday and have to do a show and haven't done it, and I've just done 6 hours of show already in a week. And it's like, what do I have today? And it's nothing. That sucks. But Monday shows are super easy. And then Tuesday's a little tougher. Monday show is easy because, excuse me, I haven't spoken into a microphone since noon on Friday. So I turn on a mic on Monday at 10 a.m., and I've got the whole time between Friday and then, everything that happened then, I've got all that. That's all new. And I still like to have things written down, but it'll be fine. You know, there's stuff. I organize it. It's just disorganized. It's no different from a regular show. It's a little different. It's just less organized. My point is, here I am again, starting new sentences when my sentence isn't finished. Trying to make a point, then I subvert my point by making a different point. Ugh, I hate that about me. I hate that. I'm trying. I'm working on it. I'm trying to fix it. I'm trying. It's part of my charm, though, right? It's part of my allure. That's what sucks you in. If I have nothing written down on a, let's say, Thursday, on a Thursday, I have nothing written down, we're screwed. I don't have anything. But I've got all the stuff in my head. I just haven't put it to paper right now. Because this is essentially a Monday show with an extra day built in of stuff that happened on Monday. Monday was cool. Monday was super cool. Plus, there was a weekend. So there's a ton of stuff. One of the things I always open up on my screen, so I've got 3 screens. The one right in front of me is like I'm monitoring what's streaming. So I can see that my stupid face is right there. Right there. I see my stupid face. Over there, I see what I would switch. Like, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll switch right now. I can do this thing where I switch. This is what we do during a break. I hit this button, and then, boop, look, I'm gone. But if I switch it back, there I am. The technology is going to improve. Right now, I have like this childlike version of a video podcast. And I'll get to it. I'll make it better, but it's not that important. I didn't think the video part was important, but it is, as it turns out. You got to, for YouTube, in order to get people to find you, you need to have some video element to the thing. So I'm doing the whole show on video, even though I hate it. I had to put a shirt on just for you. I slept with no shirt on. And I was like, sat down. I was like, okay, cool. Turn on the camera. I was like, oh, crap. Look what I look like. So I had to grab a shirt. I probably wore this shirt on a show last week because it was just laying on the chair over there. I threw it on to not gross everybody out with what I look like without a shirt. You don't want to see that. That's why I'm a radio guy. I'm not here to be a video person. I'm here to be a radio guy. One of the things that I always have open on my screen, I've got the stream stuff is here. The music, audio stuff is over there on that screen. And then up there is stuff I read. Like news things and notes that I've made and things like that. They're all up there. One of the things I always have open up there is just Google News. And there are many tabs. There's Home, For You, Following, News Showcase, U.S., World, Local, Business, Technology, Entertainment, Sports, Science, Health. Those are all there. At any point, if I just have nothing going on, I can go to this Google News page and see what's up. And just looking at the Entertainment tab of Google News today. We could have done the whole show about that. The top story in entertainment news is that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban are separating. The top story to me is that they've been married for 19 years. That's crazy. I still think of her as Tom Cruise's recent ex, and she is not. She's splitting up with Keith Urban, who I feel like I know because I've watched enough American Idol when he was a judge. I don't know if he's still a judge. He might be. I'm not positive. I think no. But I watched enough to feel like he's my boy. Mostly because I watched it with my wife, so it's like, oh, he's in our family. Keith Urban is our friend now. One of those. But Nicole Kidman. If you were married to Tom Cruise, you're nuts. Is that fair? Unfair? I mean, good for him. Nicole Kidman seemingly likes the short guys. She was married to Tom Cruise for a while, I think, right? They were married, right? That wasn't just a relationship that I knew about for some reason. Right? I think they were married. But then I see this picture of her, the headline, Nicole Kidman, Keith Urban, separate after 19 years of marriage. He's shorter than her. She likes, or it might involve heels, but they'd have to be 12-inch heels. Standing on a red carpet, he's significantly shorter than she is, and it looks weird. I'm not trying to put down short guys. You can do whatever you'd like. I'm not trying to tell women what to do. You can do whatever you'd like. But to the rest of us, when we're walking around, it just looks weird when the guy is shorter than the girl. It just looks weird. It looks weird. And that's two. I mean, I don't know anything else about Nicole Kidman except that she's seemingly into shorter guys. All right, I got to look her up real quick. Kidman. Oh, that's cool. That's cool to have a unique enough name. Kidman is unique enough that they know what you're talking about if you just Google the word Kidman. Keith Urban revealed how he nearly blew up the marriage 1 year before. No, not that. This is Keith's decision, it says, in the TMZ headline. I trust TMZ. All right, let's read about Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman real quick. Then we'll get back to real life. They've separated. Multiple sources say they've been living apart since the beginning of the summer. We're told Nicole has been taking care of the two children and holding the family together through this difficult time since Keith has been gone. One source said he acquired his own residence in Nashville and has moved out of their family home, which is also in Nashville. As for whether they'll divorce, TBD. Their kids are 14 and 17. They married in 2006. I wanted to know about Tom Cruise. It doesn't matter. I don't need to do this. The point I was trying to make is if I open up this Google News thing, there's an entertainment page that I just clicked on, and I could do 4 hours of radio based just off of this. There's a whole chunk of stories about Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, which is mildly interesting because I feel like I know Keith Urban, and Nicole Kidman has been famous for a long time, and she's attractive and has done some interesting things in Hollywood, and I'm into that story. But then the next one, my God, is about an AI actress. We have an AI actress. There's a part of me that wants to dig very, very deep into this. Because we've been talking about AI and how it's scary and weird and freaky and kind of coming for us. Here are the headlines. Without even opening the stories, there are 4 headlines about this AI actress, not a real person. I don't know what that means. This is just headlines. SAG/AFTRA, those are unions, like Hollywood actors unions, responds to AI actress Tilly Norwood furor. Creativity is and should remain, and then it cuts off. The next one, Tilly Norwood, how scared should we be of the viral AI actor? That's from The Guardian. From Variety, SAG-AFTRA condemns Tilly Norwood. AI actress is not an actor. And then there's another thing about an AI talent studio being launched for hyper-real digital stars. I'm going to go with how scared should we be of the viral AI actor, and I'm going to open that, and we're going to talk about it. I'm going to read it. We'll see how it goes, because I'm interested in this. A bunch of code is being pushed as the next Scarlett Johansson, a creation that is already causing pushback from real human actors. All right. Takes a lot to be the most controversial figure in Hollywood, especially when Mel Gibson still exists. All right, Stuart Heritage. That's the writer of the... Is Stuart Heritage a real person? Stuart Heritage seems fake. This is an AI... Potentially an AI writer talking about an AI actress. I need to get to the bottom of this. This is the most interesting thing that's ever happened to me. All right. Somehow in a career yet to begin, Tilly Norwood has been inundated with scorn. Tilly Norwood's not even a person and is about to be an actress, it seems. We'll get to it soon. Sorry, throat. At some point, we'll get to that. I'm leaving that open because it's important, but the phone just rang because Josh called. My boy Josh, who I was like, you know what? You might need to call in because yesterday was just a crazy, weird, fun day. So let's bring Josh in when he's done with his work stuff. He's not done. He's just taking a break. But my man Josh chiming in. What's up, dude?
Nothing. Usually that meeting's 30 minutes. Today it went 67 minutes, so that's my luck.
That's horrible. 67-minute meeting. So you work from home. So meeting, describe a meeting. What is it? Are you on camera? How many people are involved? Do you have to pay attention? Because my wife works from home, and she'll tell me, like, oh, I've got a meeting from 1 to 2 and from 3 to 4. And one of them is, like, it's not really even a meeting. It's like a seminar where she can kind of pay attention, and then some of it she like has to actually be there. So describe a work meeting for you?
Yeah, there's a couple different versions. So there's some meetings that are more based on training, so you'll be in there with 200 to 300 people. Those ones you don't have to be interactive with. You still have to pay attention, obviously. The one that I was just on, though, is more of a team or regional type meeting where there's about 10 or 15 people. And you do have to be attentive because they may call on whatever project you're working on.
Yeah.
And that's what just happened to me is at 11:01, someone said something about one of the projects I'm working on because I was thinking about jumping, and then I was glad I didn't.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good that you were there. So the reason that I asked you to call in when you had time is that you experienced just a weird ass day. Like, I talk about this on the show. You're the person who tells me repeatedly that my life isn't real, and not in a mean way, just in a funny, like, Are you kidding me kind of way. And so then when I know that I'm going to have one of those sort of surreal days and I get the opportunity to bring you into it so that you can see that this does happen, I'm happy to do so. So yesterday, and this is perfect because I left off in the story of yesterday by saying I picked up Tom, who is Thomas Ian Nicholas, who is Henry Rowengartner from Rookie of the Year, and Kevin Myers from American Pie, and you'd know him if you saw him. Well, you would know him then if you saw him, but he kind of blends in now because he's got more of a rock star vibe than an actor, kid actor vibe. What is your? I guess what did you say to your wife when you got home about how? Like, she says, "How was your day?" Hold on. Let me preface that. I'm sorry. I interrupted myself again. I interrupted you and me. I picked up Tom. We came to your house to pick you up. Your wife was home. You knew that he was coming. I was like, it's pretty rare that Henry Rowengartner is on your street in your driveway in Cheektowaga. And you were like, can we maybe get a picture? I'm like, yeah, of course we can. Like, we'll do it. He's fine. He'll be cool. So we did that. Like, pictures got taken with your wife, and I took a picture of the three of you together on your front porch. Like, the house number is visible. It's just cool. It's a cool thing for you to have. It's just a cool day, like, 40 years from now, you're like, remember when that dude was on my porch? That was weird, right? So that happened. But tell me what you tell your wife when you get home and she says, how was your day?
Yeah, and I think honestly, I'd like to start where you just kind of went through because I think that's an important part of the story.
Okay.
So I knew that you guys were coming over, and I figured there'd be an opportunity for Meg to get a picture with this gentleman who obviously her friends know. I mean, she graduated in '01, right? This is the prime of
Right. American Pie was
Pie.
99. Yep.
Yeah. So you guys pull up. You get out of the car. He's very unassuming. He sees that I have golf clubs, so he begins to assist you getting up into the truck to move things and help out with that, which was just seemed, like you said earlier, he is a celebrity. I mean, there's different degrees, and people could say what they want, but I think he's definitely a celebrity. So he then comes over, and as he's walking over, I said, "Hey, Tom, would you mind if you got a picture with my wife?" I said, and I always said that if I met a celebrity, I would never ask them for a picture.
Right.
And now I'm doing it. And he goes, "Well, you must not think I'm a celebrity then." And I just kind of looked at him, and he goes, well, you just said you would never ask a celebrity, and you asked me.
Right.
So that was a good icebreaker. So
that's perfect.
He took pictures. He took a picture with Meg, and then he's like, "Well, why don't you get on?" I didn't even ask. He's like, "Why don't you get on one?" So I get in, I take a picture with him, and as we're leaving, he does something else and helps you put the tonneau cover back on or something, and we hop in the vehicle. As far as what I say to Meg when we get back was, I think she got a good experience from meeting him that morning. It was a few days ago. She had mentioned it to a friend of hers that I was going to be golfing with Tom, and I call him Tom now.
Yeah, he's Tom. We called him Tom all day. What are we supposed to do?
I was going to be golfing with Tom, and it was cool because one of her best friends had said, "Oh, me and my husband just watched, the I think 3 of the 4 movies that he would have been in." So obviously it was top of mind there. But no, when I told her when I got home, I said it was amazing. I probably wouldn't have gone if he wasn't there because I'm very reserved and don't like being in crowds or around a lot of people. I said,
don't play golf and none of it. You don't do any of these things. Yeah, you don't drink.
Right.
You don't do anything.
Right, but I get to hang out with the guy that played Henry Rowengartner and Kev on American
Kevin
Pie.
Myers.
So,
yep.
But I mean, honestly, there wasn't a lot to tell her about, but I think that's actually in a good way because it was just like hanging out with a friend.
It was weird, right? That I agree
I would make
completely.
a good shot, and he'd be like, "Josh, what a shot!" Give me knuckles. He would make a good shot. We'd make bad shots, and we'd razz each other. And we were never out there on the course like, "Oh, Stifler's mom," there was we didn't even talk about that stuff. It was very like just hanging out with a buddy. And he was very cool. And like you said, Mark Gahn, that's who I rode in the cart with. He was great. So between you, Mark, Tom, and myself, I think we had a great group of guys. We came in at par. The other team obviously cheated. There's no way in hell you get minus 12 or
on
whatever.
That course from the back tees too. Like that
ridiculous.
That
Not
was a great course. What a cool course. And I told him, I was talking to Tom, I was just like, this is, if you're a tourist, if you're a Western New York tourist, this is about the best you can do because it was, undulating hills in, the southernmost portion of Erie County during whatever, it was September 29th. So the leaves, like the colors, it was beautiful. And also it was 80 degrees or something. I never checked to see what the official temperature was, but it was summertime with a fall look in rural Western New York, and you can't do better than that whole vibe. So that was all going on, and I think he appreciated it, although he's, he travels a ton, and, he's not here to appreciate the undulating hills of Gowanda, but it was a perfect perfect day for all of it and a perfect course, and the experience was fantastic. Just awesome. I'm so happy about all of it.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think you mentioning the weather just now and how great it was. It didn't feel like an 80-degree day. It felt like a very nice day. There was a little breeze, and to actually point out, he was the first one to mention how beautiful it was of a day. It wasn't any of us. He said it first. He said, "Man, what a perfect day to be out here playing golf."
California guy too.
Yeah. So that to me, I was kind of like, yeah, we live in Buffalo. This is what we do.
Yeah.
And then we have terrible winters, but
right.
But yeah.
Well, yeah. Then Mark came out with some statistic. I'd have to get him on, but he was rattling off how it's warm and dry and temperature's good, and this, and then the other 6 months suck. But 6 months of it, Western New York, like you can't do better for weather. And yesterday it was just a perfect weather day, and just I don't know, it was just a combination of bizarre experiences that I think we'll both remember for a long time. And I don't know, I like talking to him, and here's you're right. It was never about hey, what happened when they filmed. It was never like fanboy type of stuff, but just him talking about what's going on in his life in the same way that I talk about Southline baseball. He's just talking about what he does, touring, and where he just was, and how he was just he did a show in Syracuse a few nights ago, and then he was in Edison, New Jersey, I believe is where he said, for what I initially thought was like a Comic-Con type of thing, but he said it was a horror con. And I said, well, this is just me riding the golf cart with him to go like find our balls. And I'm like, horror con? What? Why are you in? What's your connection there? He's like, I was killed by Michael Myers. He was in one of the Halloween movies. I've never seen any of the Halloween movies, but he was killed by Michael Myers in a Halloween movie. So the day before, he was in New Jersey because he was killed by Michael Myers in a Halloween movie. Like, that's the kind of stuff that was going on yesterday. That was the normal conversation. He brought up touring in, I want to say Denmark, with Chris Barron, who is the former, or still is, I believe, the lead singer of the Spin Doctors. And I liked Spin Doctors. I never loved them. They weren't my favorite, but I was very into music at that time. I was very into that vibe. They were part of the Horde tour with Blues Traveler and Fish and all that. And he's buddies with Chris Barron. And I said to him, and this is legit, he's on the list of people I wrote down that I would like to talk to, on the show. He's like, oh yeah, I'll set you up with Chris Barron. I'm like, oh,
Brad's fake life.
Okay,
that's Brad's fake.
Well, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. But I wanted you to be there to see that it's fake, but it's also real. It's not, and it's just a guy. It's just, if I talk to you and you talk about your buddy, your cousin, I talk to your cousin Dave now because you were like, oh, Dave's cool. You'd like that, and now Dave is my friend. But it turns out that we've heard of his friends. So I don't know. It's not that nuts. All right, this is a real question. This is I didn't even want to bring it up on the way there because there was no comfortable way to do it. But when we got there, and I jumped in the cart with Tom and left you in the cart with Mark, who you'd never met, how did you feel? Were you mad at me?
No, I was honestly very comfortable because I don't like to put myself out in any way ever. So even driving a golf cart with people I don't know would have terrified me, let alone
you wanted to be a
celebrity.
Passenger.
Yeah, so I asked Mark right away. I'm like, "Are you good driving?" Pretending like I was offering. Like, "Are you good? I can." And he's like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, "Okay." And then that was it. So I was not. No, that worked out fine for me. And that would have been way too much pressure on me to try coming up with conversations while I'm also frustrated because I'm terrible at golf.
Okay, all right. Because you think about it, there's a lot of math to be done in there because it's Mark, who you've never met, Tom, who neither of us has ever met, you and me. I was asked to, basically I was Tom's escort for the tournament, pick him up at the hotel, bring him in, drive him around on the course, all that. But I didn't say that to you because it didn't occur to me until we were driving there, oh, crap, Josh doesn't like anybody. He hates people. And now I'm going to put him in a cart with conveniently, it's somebody that's like vetted. It's Mark, and Mark is my friend, and we're okay. But like that did cross my mind that putting you like, what's the right combination? Clearly, Tom doesn't drive. He's a passenger, just like, whatever. He's the celebrity. He's the passenger. So somebody's got to drive him. But I've been asked to like kind of escort him. So now I'm putting you with Mark. But it all worked out. It worked out fine. So I'm glad you're not. We didn't even talk. I thought we would talk about that on the way home in the car, but we didn't have to do that. And we volunteered. This is funny. The whole thing. So there's the golf tournament. The golf tournament ends. There's a dinner. The prizes, all the, gift baskets, all that stuff, 50-50 raffle, all the things that happen in these settings. And then while we're still eating, Tom's band plays. And it's Tom's bass player who came in, who, by the way, is from Auburn, New York, which is where Jeremy White is from. And Jeremy was at the tournament, too. We got to hang out with him a little bit. Jeremy White. And then Dave is the drummer, Dave, who organized the tournament, who's been on the show multiple times. So it's a 3-piece band, and they play a set. They play, 10, 12 songs, something like that. Super cool. It ends, and then I went and said goodbye to Tom, went and said goodbye to Dave, and then we go to leave, and you say to me, does Tom need a ride home? I was like, oh, crap, I forgot about that. So then I went back and asked, and for a little bit, we thought we were going to have to drive him back. Thought we were going to drive him back to the hotel, and then it turned out the bass player, who was going back to Syracuse anyway, was just going to take him. But there was a little moment there where I don't remember what the entire point of my story is right now. I mean, I know the story, but I don't remember why I just told it.
Well, let me break in. So while we're waiting for him, you're friends with Nicholas Pickles, so I'm like, you're sitting there talking to him. I come up. I think you had mentioned earlier who he was, but maybe I didn't catch it then. But then you introduced me to him, and then I end up talking. Well, we end up talking to him for what? Probably 15, 20 minutes.
Well, yeah, while we were waiting to find out. Well, we thought we were driving Tom home. We were letting him eat his dinner because we ate dinner while their band played. And then eventually we didn't have to drive him home. But yeah, we had 10, 15 minutes while we were just waiting around for Tom. And you talked to Nick, and I honestly, that was on my list mentally. I didn't write anything down for today's show, but on my list mentally was to ask you, it seems like maybe you walked away more impressed by Nick than by Tom, because you took you after all day being like, I'm not going to be a fanboy. I'm not going to be you're like, can I take a picture with you? With Nicholas Pickles from Kiss 98.5. It was just a guy I've known for 30 years. And you're like, oh my God, it's Nick. Like that was funny.
Yeah, maybe we should have notes before I get on the air, what we should and shouldn't talk about.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But no, he was great. So to me, I think, right, he ended up saying he's been on air since 92 or something. So I was 11.
He didn't even know the right year.
Right,
he was guessing. So, and then he also, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right, because you were there for a while. I came in 97. He's like, yeah, you're one of the new guys.
One of the new guys, he called you. Yeah, exactly.
As I'm looking at my gray beard in my screen here, like, I'm brand new.
So I think for me, right. So I listened to him when I was younger, thought he was cool, and then you hit this age where that kind of music and stuff is not cool. And then you keep going, and he's still there. It's crazy the career he had. And I always just thought he might be one of those, I don't know, you talk to him, and he'd try being celebrity-like or
I feel like douchebag is the word you're looking for here, but you don't want to say it.
I forgot you're not on that.
Yeah, do whatever you want.
And that's what I was worried he was going to be like. And Brad, I'm not even joking when I say he's probably in the top 10 nicest people I've ever met. And it was a joy to talk to him. And getting the picture was cool because, I sent it to Meg. Obviously, she was a young lady when he was on the radio. And I feel like if we said two names in Buffalo, full names, I think Nicholas Pickles would be above a lot of people. You could bring up a lot of celebrities, and I think people know who Nicholas Pickles is. So I think he's pretty famous in his own right.
Have you ever seen or read his full name?
This is stupid. I shouldn't even say this on the air. A couple years back, I got off on there was something that he was on or something, or I heard him on something, so I actually pulled him up on YouTube. Did you know he had his own show? But I'll get back to it. So his name thing, I remember his name was some ridiculously long name, or something strange. But he also, I found that he had some TV show back in like the 80s, which was crazy.
Oh, I don't know about that. He see right here. I just Googled quickly Nicholas Pickles' full name and wound up with Nicholas Schimmelpenninck. But he's got. I feel like he's got like 14 names,
Right.
like Hakeem Olajuwon. No, it's not Hakeem Olajuwon. There's a basketball. Dikembe Mutombo. Dikembe Mutombo's name is 17 more words, and I think
Right.
Nick's name is 17 more words too. And he might be. He's like a prince, or there's there's something else in
Right.
it too.
Right,
That
right.
I'm totally missing the point here, but it's very interesting. I promise. If we were to have all the information, but we don't. But today, famously, I'm just doing the show with nothing written down and winging it, and ask you to maybe call in. So overall, your experience with hanging out and playing golf with a celebrity, would you say it like the exact right level of celebrity? I think he knows who he is. He leans into who he is. He doesn't act like he's bigger. Like, don't you know who I am? I'm Henry Rowengartner, damn it. But he also gets that part of his appeal is nostalgia. And for example, and I tried to do as little as possible. I took a couple pictures, and I had my youngest son, Drew, who you know is 8 years old, about to be 9, and he said, "Can I have a baseball signed by him?" And last minute, like packing stuff up to go pick him up, I saw a brand new baseball in plastic. And I was like, I have a Sharpie. I'm grabbing that. I put it in. And he signed it. Drew flowed it, signed his name, and then wrote ROI 93 on it, which is what, like, I haven't looked this up yet. I want to say like Eric Karros was the actual rookie of the year in 1993. But it's the way that a baseball player would sign something. Like Jim Kelly will sign HOF 2002. Like Hall of Fame 02. They put that stuff on there. He has embraced what it is that people like about him. He just gets it, man. He was just a regular dude who gets what his role is in this world, and he's, I don't want to say milking it because that sounds wrong, but like, yeah, oh, you like me because of that? Cool, I'll come to Comic-Con. You like me because of that? Cool, I'll come to HorrorCon. You like me because of that? Cool, I'll come to your golf tournament. And remains just a regular person while just navigating the world. I just came away super impressed with him. He hugged me when I was leaving. Like, that's cool. He probably hugged you too. Like, it was just an awesome experience that I don't know. I'll talk about this for a long time. That we didn't hang out with Robert De Niro. We just hung out with, but we hung out with a guy who my kids know from a movie from almost 30 years ago. Like, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I think now that we've gone through the experience, I think if you said to me, hey, let's go back to tomorrow or yesterday morning, and you can pick any other celebrity other than maybe Hawksley Workman that we could go on this with, who would you want it to be? But I know that yesterday happened already. I would say let's leave it. I don't think there's anyone else. Another group of guys that I'd want to go with. Any other celebrity. I think the way that it worked out yesterday was perfect, and honestly, even Hawksley probably wouldn't get to go. I think the way it went yesterday, in my opinion, went amazing, went perfect, and I would leave it the way it is and put a bow on it.
That's a great way to put it, because I don't think this is like on my deathbed, this is going to be the day I remember. But it was just a perfect experience. Everything was great. The golf tournament was great. I ran into people from high school. I ran into one of my wife's relatives that I hadn't seen in, I don't know, 15 years or something. And I got her back in touch with my wife. Like, we'll probably go out to dinner with her based off of this. Seeing Dave, and Dave's entire family was there, and all that was super cool. Like, just all of it. It was cool. There was music involved. There was golf involved. There was beer. I like that part. Just all of it. Just super cool. Glad that you could be a part of it. Thank you so much for bringing it to the show as well and coming in to talk about it, because me rambling about this by myself would be pretty lame, but it's better to have you to confirm it. So thank you, Josh. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you at the next baseball event, whenever that is, probably immediately.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, thanks for letting me get the experience and also coming on the show, man. I'll talk to you soon for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh.
Take care.
All right. It's my man, Josh, who I don't know his, he's got a real job, so I don't want to put his full name into the whole thing. And I kept saying your wife, and obviously I know his wife's name is Meg. I'm very good friends with her too. But he brought her in. So that's Josh. His wife is Meg. Tom is Thomas Ian Nicholas. He's Henry Rowengartner, who signed up baseball for my son after playing golf with us. And it's just a weird, cool, fun day. And thanks to Dave Dombrowski for putting it all together. We're going to take a break. Be right back. It is Writer Radio. Bills game. I haven't talked about the Bills game. We'll do that from now till the end of the show, probably, because the Bills are one of 2 4-0 teams in the NFL right now. And I haven't discussed it since, A, they've become 4-0, and B, everyone but the Eagles, who was previously unbeaten, took a loss this weekend, and that has not yet been discussed. So let's close out all. I'm going to play a couple songs, close out all this stuff, bring up all my NFL stuff, and we'll do Bill stuff from here till noon on Writer Radio. Writer Radio, episode 177. Thanks to my boy Josh for chiming in to help me talk about the crazy day where I picked up Henry Rowengartner from a hotel. I know that's not his name. He's just Tom. He was Tom all day, but to you, he's Henry or he's Kevin from American Pie. All of it was just a bizarre, surreal type of day where that was what I was in charge of. I was in charge of getting this dude from Amherst to Gowanda, and had to stop in Cheektowaga on the way to get Josh. And then it was cool. It was fun. And we didn't do a show yesterday because all of this was going on right when the show should be on. I was driving to Gowanda when the show would have started, and I had it set up on the phone that maybe I could have done, but I don't know. It would have ruined everything. I didn't want to do that. Oh, yeah, we're in a truck, but we're also going live. Poor dude in the back who's just trying to help out his friend by coming and playing golf with a bunch of idiots like me and Josh and Mark. Mark's not an idiot. Me and Josh, yeah. Not Mark. Mark's cool. But it was, Mark Gahn played. That was awesome. We had a good time. He won a prize. He won a prize late. He left right after the thing. He didn't stay for dinner. But he had bought tickets, and he won a prize, and I've got his prize, which I'll give to Bob, his brother, when I see him, either tonight at trivia or Saturday at the UB football game, the final of 3 consecutive home games before we finally have to hit the road again. That said, 2 consecutive road losses for the Bulls, or home losses, for the Bulls. Not thrilled with that. Not thrilled with how it all went down in the last couple of weeks. But they'll be okay. Everything's still fine. Everything's, as we always say at this time of year, still on the table. The Bulls are trying to get to Detroit. They're trying to get to a bowl game. Get to Detroit means be one of the top 2 teams in the MAC. They're currently 1-0 in the MAC. That's about as good as you can be at this point. It's exactly as good as you can be at this point. They're 1-0, but every game from here on out will contribute to the decision as to whether the Bulls can go to Detroit to compete for the MAC championship. That's what they're trying to do. Need to get to 6 wins. They will. To get bowl eligibility. That will happen. But it would have been nice to get one of those last 2 that were so close. But really, the last 3 have been very close, and they got 1 win, 2 losses. You'd prefer to have in 3, kind of toss-up, we'll see what happens at the end of the games. You'd prefer to win 2 of them and lose 1. And instead they won 1 and lost 2, but they've been very good football games. That's part of it that's been lost in talking about UB is how good the games have been. They've just been very close, entertaining, comes down to the last minute, last drive type of games. And that's what we've seen the last 3 weeks with UB. Hopefully they just bury Eastern Michigan this week, get to 2-0 in the MAC, and get their get their mojo back a little bit. That's what we're looking for. All right, haven't talked about the Bills game yet. The Bills game happened 2 days ago, and I haven't done it because I didn't do a show yesterday, and I apologize and have spent most of this show saying I'm going to talk about the Bills, and I haven't. I open up, I just typed in Bills to Google, which I never do. Like usually I've got all my thoughts, but I'm like, let's see what the word on the street is. And it's like 4 stories about what the Bills are trying to do at punter. Because Cameron Johnston got annihilated on a punt attempt. He did come back out with a thing on his leg, a thing on his knee, and hold for, I don't know if it was a field goal. Doesn't matter. He came out as a holder. Field goal, yeah. And was fine. Or maybe it was the extra point. I don't even know. But they didn't screw that up. He was fine. He put a brace on and was a holder. But I don't know how they're calling it a foot and ankle injury as opposed to a knee injury. That looked like amputate your leg type of injury. That was gross. Like he got smoked. But also maybe he was just very animated in his anger and pain. And that's what freaked me out. I don't know, but it seemed bad. That said, this isn't Brian Moorman, who's been on the team for 11 years. It's Cameron Johnston, who's been on the team for 10 seconds. And the most we've talked about him is just about the fact that he kind of looks like McDermott and he kind of looks like Bill Burr. He a lot looks like Bill Burr. This story says he will miss some time. That's in quotes. Miss some time with foot/ankle. The Bills will be searching for a new punter this week ahead of their Week 5 matchup against the Patriots. Sean McDermott told reporters Monday afternoon that Cameron Johnston will miss some time with a foot and ankle injury. I guess he can't just say, yeah, he's not on the team anymore. Like, he got hurt. I'm watching the game it was just me and my wife this week because 2 of the kids were out at, parties with their friends to watch Bills games. And my oldest doesn't care about the Bills. He's probably off playing guitar somewhere or drums or whatever he's playing. So it was just my wife and myself watching the game, which is weird in a house of 5. You just have 2. It never happens, but it did that day. And that hit happened. I was like, well, all right, we'd forget about him. He's not a part of our lives anymore. Cameron Johnston, congratulations for making the team, coming in and replacing that other guy, Brad Robbins. Is that right? Brad, there's a guy named Brad who I noticed that because my name's Brad, who he replaced as punter. It's just like, I don't care. I don't know who the punter is. It doesn't matter. Bill's punter is like the least relevant thing on earth. You'd love him to be great once in a while, but you also love to never see him. So from a fan perspective, Cameron Johnston being removed from the Bills does nothing, but I feel bad for the guy. He was doing a decent enough job. I liked that he looked like Bill Burr. I thought that was fun. I like that he's Australian. That's fun. But they said he'll miss some time. No word on the timetable exactly right now, said McDermott. But the reality is that guy, don't expect to see him. It's like, oh, what are we going to do now? We're going to put him on IR and get a different punter. And they're like, no, he's just not going to be on the team. He's gone. They'll just get somebody else to kick the ball when the Bills give up on a drive. I mean, that's what a punter is. So I'm not trying to disrespect the profession, but every time the punter comes out, we're sad. So does it matter who the punter is? Like, oh, I'm sad that this guy's out. It doesn't matter. There's somebody. Somebody's out there. Where is Moorman? I'd like Brian Moorman back. Telling me he can't punt? I'm sure he can punt. I'm sure he's in shape. He's not sitting around. I know that guy. He's not sitting around on a couch getting fat, eating cheese doodles. He'd be ready. I don't know if he'd be ready, but he'd be better than me. I can't believe punting. I saw a punt the other day in the UB game that very, very clearly was above, like if the stadium had a roof, it would have hit the roof. Clearly above the top row of the 300 level of the stadium. Just way above it. It was an absolute bomb. I don't even remember if it was the Bulls punter or the other team's punter. It's probably the other team's, but whatever. It's like, wow, that's amazing. It's amazing that a human body can propel a football in that manner. It's just nuts. But that was just a guy playing college football. So there's somebody else that you just grab somebody. Somebody else that can do that is available. It's probably like a Craigslist or a grinder for that. Like a grinder for punters. We'll talk to Bob at some point this week, maybe tomorrow. See if he knows anything about grinder and punters. But yeah, every story I just Googled Bills, and it's all about the punter. I got one that's the NFL Power Rankings. Power Rankings entering Week 5. Bills have a perfect opportunity for elusive Super Bowl. I'll say, we're all thinking it, right? We're all thinking it as we're watching the Bills not put on their best performance and still just be great. It's a great football team. It's a great quarterback at first. First and foremost, it's a great quarterback capable of everything all at the same time. So that, I don't even want to say that helps. That is the primary factor in all of this, is that guy is that good. Here's the story. This is a Yahoo story. Yeah. All right. Rankings. There's only one undefeated team left in the AFC. It's the best team in the AFC, and the only one that can feel like September was perfect, just about perfect. The Buffalo Bills couldn't be in a better spot. Correct. They're 4-0. They haven't taken any major injuries like the Bengals or had many injuries pile up like the Ravens. They haven't had an upset loss like the Chargers. They haven't had a slow start that put them in a hole like the Texans or the Chiefs. Just winning football. Real quick, you just heard several teams mentioned. Did you hear who was not mentioned? All right, Bills, Bengals. Oh, they did mention the Ravens. Sorry. All right, never mind. The whole plan there was to say, oh my God, we're just throwing the Ravens out at 1-3. But I am throwing the Ravens out at 1-3. I don't want them in the playoffs. That's the team that scares me the most in the AFC come playoff time. I think Lamar Jackson is nothing. I enjoy the opportunity to see him play against the team that I like in the playoffs. But Derrick Henry scares me. There's just something about that team that, that's the one I don't want to face. I've got no fear of the Chiefs. I know it's going to change. I know they're at 2-2 now, and the game's going to feel big when they play the Chiefs. I think the Bills are going to throttle the Chiefs in the regular season, and I don't know. I'm not factoring them in. It all just feels easy this year. And it's Josh maturing is probably number one on that. Number two is now that he's got the MVP, now that he won an MVP, even though it is weird very often, you're listening to a podcast or watching a broadcast and they're still talking about, I think Lamar should have been the MVP. That's cool. I think he should have had his third. That's a 3-time MVP to people. I don't think you know what you're watching if you think that Josh Allen didn't deserve the MVP last year. I know that I'm biased. I know that I watched this team more than I watched the other teams, but the way that he commands an offense and a team and a stadium and a city and a fan base is nothing I've ever seen before. So to pretend that someone else deserved to be MVP instead of this guy who deserves to be president of the world, to me is stupid. I know that I have a bias, but anyone who doesn't see what I'm seeing, I feel has a bias in a different direction and is doing it the wrong way. I don't know. All right. Reading this story, Bills couldn't be in a better spot. I did that. All right. The problem for the Bills hasn't been that they aren't good enough to make a Super Bowl. It's that they play in a ridiculously tough AFC. Getting the number one seed would not only be a massive help, but it's something that has eluded the Bills during the Josh Allen era. Having 2 games in Buffalo in January wouldn't guarantee a Super Bowl spot, but it would make the Bills a huge favorite. The path forward to that top seed appears clear. The rest of the AFC East doesn't look like much of a threat. Last night, Dolphins beat the Jets, so they've got one win. Patriots kind of beat the crap out of the Panthers. They've got 2 wins. So that means the Patriots, Dolphins, and Jets combined have 3 wins. The Bills have 4 wins. They're winning the division. They're going to win the division. That's done. That's done. All of this has an asterisk of healthy Josh Allen. Anything else can happen to anybody else. Healthy Josh Allen. The Bills have already won the East. And they're cruising to the 1 seed. And that puts the final game of the season, assuming you win your first round matchup. The final ever game of Highmark Stadium would be AFC Championship game. It's all heading there. We can't just say it's happening because it all has to happen before it happens. But it's happening. I'm saying it, sort of. The biggest game left for the Bills is against the Chiefs, but that comes in Buffalo on November 2nd. The other elite opponent is the Eagles, the only other undefeated team in the league. That's December 28th. This is a great article. This is saying all the things I'm thinking. This is perfect. This is why I don't have to prepare. Excuse me. I promise I will prepare for the next show, tomorrow's show. But I wrote down nothing for today, just knowing that I had a lot of stuff to talk about. But this, honestly, whoever wrote this is thinking exactly like I am. A lot can happen over a season, but 14 or 15 wins this season seems feasible. Yes, so does 17. 17 wins seems feasible. They're going to be the favorite. Are the Eagles here? I think they're here, right? They're going to be the favorite in every game. So they're 4-0, and 13 more wins sounds fine. I'm not predicting undefeated, but all the stuff is trending in the right direction, and the Super Bowl and all the stuff. This is the year. This is the year. September could not have gone better for the Bills. They're number 1 in the NFL power rankings. It's possible they never give up that spot this season, it says. And for some reason, these power rankings are in reverse. So we're at 32 before we're at 1. Do I care about the bottom? Like how we rank the 0-4 teams? Probably not. Skip all that. Let's get to the good stuff. 20, don't care. Let's just do top 10. Top 10. At 10, we've got the Colts at 3-1. At 9, we've got the Bucks at 3-1. At 8, we've got the Seahawks at 3-1. That's a team I don't think about. It says the Seahawks are going to be good. They let down a bit in the fourth quarter, made a win against Arizona interesting, but through 3 quarters, it was an impressive performance. It's a tough NFC West, but don't sleep on the Seahawks as a potential division winner. Okay. At 7, we've got the Chiefs. That's okay. Okay. You can. Okay. They have to implode completely. Like if they had lost to the Ravens and they were sitting at 1-3, they'd probably be 20th or something. But instead, they handily beat the Ravens, and they're at 7. I think the Ravens are a much better team than the Chiefs. Where are the Ravens? That's something I want to see. This isn't real. It's just power rankings by a website. But they've got them at 14 and 1-3. They've got them at 14, 1-3 between 2 3-1 teams. The Steelers are 3-1 at 15. Ravens are 1-3 at 14. Niners 3-1 at 13. All right, back to the top 10. Chiefs at 7. Xavier Worthy makes a big difference. Offense finally had a playmaker, and it showed. Now imagine the Chiefs with Worthy and Rashee Rice for the second half of the season. Winning on Sunday, along with the Chargers' upset loss, means the Chiefs aren't in that bad of shape coming out of September. Okay. It is all right. I'm aware of them now. Worthy's back. Rice is coming back. Chargers did lose. 2-2's fine. Game out of first. First means playoffs. Okay. There was a lot of talk going into Chiefs-Ravens about what we would want. What do we want? We're Bills fans. What do we want to happen here? And I did the math on it, and all of it was great, regardless of who won. Either you're way up on this one and 2 up on this one, or you're evenly up 3 games on both. It was fine. And I don't know. A lot of this is that I don't buy the Mahomes greatness thing. I mean, he's obviously very, very, very good. And great might be right. It's just that I think we're in an era where great's not good enough to beat Josh. Josh is a different thing. And it makes me so happy that he won the MVP so that people can talk about him the way that they want to talk about him nationally, like the national media. Try this. Here's a little test, a little game to play. Try watching any NFL game. It can be 2 NFC teams with no relevance. See how far you get into watching that game before the Bills and or Josh Allen are mentioned. You cannot tell the story of the NFL without talking about Josh Allen. You cannot tell the story of the NFL without talking about the Buffalo Bills in 2025. You can't. So you can watch any game you want. I have to clear my throat. This is stupid. I don't sound like this. That's not my voice. All right. See, that's my voice. This is what I sound like. Try to tell the story of the 2025 NFL without mentioning the Bills, without mentioning Josh Allen. They're the story of the league. They are. Watch the Panthers play against the Seahawks. Josh Allen's name is going to come up. Watch the Dolphins play the Jets. Of course, his name is going to come up. There's no combination of teams you can put together where his name doesn't come up because he's the best player in the league, and everyone is trying to figure out what are we doing about that. I know they haven't won a Super Bowl yet, but that is the most feared dude in the league, making the Bills the most feared team in the league. 100%. That's what's going on. You say whatever you want about Lamar Jackson. Watch Lamar Jackson and tell me he belongs in a conversation with Josh Allen. He doesn't. Watch Mahomes. I know he's got Super Bowls. Watch him. Does he belong in a conversation with Josh? Nope. And now that there's an MVP attached to Josh's name, now all of the announcers, all the national announcers can talk about him the way that they've probably wanted to because they can see it too. So that's what we've got in Buffalo. Pretty cool. All right, number 7 was the Chiefs. Number 6 is the Packers at 2-1-1. That was the best tie I've ever seen. That game was awesome. Through 2 games and 56 minutes of the third game, the Packers looked like one of the best teams in football. Then they collapsed against the Browns and barely got a tie against the Cowboys. It's hard to know what to make of the Packers now, but a lot of the shine is definitely off. Disagree. I think they're a very good team. They're not the Bills, but they're a very good team. That Packers-Cowboys game was fantastic. So fun. Just back and forth. It was Maction. It was NFL Maction. Love it. And it's super fun to watch a game where you don't really care who wins. I mean, it's 2 NFC teams. No real impact on the Bills. No real impact on my life. Just rooting for a good game. And it was a great game. Super fun. Super fun. I found myself rooting for the Packers because watching that game, they had right before the game starts, they showed the 48 people that all work for the pregame show. It was like 7 or 8, I guess, not 48. All of them are like Packers, Packers, Packers. I'm like, I don't know, man. It's a decent team with some star players at home, prime time, winless, ugly, sad. That was cool. Number 5, we've got the Chargers, who lost to the Giants. Jackson Dart, fun. Malik Neighbors' injury, sad. Chargers, losing an early start on the East Coast against a Giants team, rallying around a rookie quarterback, making his first start isn't the end of the world. And seeing Tuli, who's this guy? I don't know this guy. Tua Pilatu. At some point, if this guy's good, I'll say his name easily. But right now, he had 4 sacks. Tua Pilatu. He had 4 sacks. And Omarion Hampton, 165 yards. 165 yards. Have monster games is a good sign. All right, so that's number 5, Chargers. Number 4, the Rams at 3-1. If non-quarterbacks were still considered for MVP, Puka Nacua, or as we call him in my house, does anyone know? Pookie Nakuki. I don't know why that's funny to me, but it is. So Pookie Nakuki might build an interesting case. He does everything for the Rams. 170 yards and a touchdown on 13 catches. He'll be a front runner for Offensive Player of the Year. That's number 4. Number 3 is the Lions at 3-1. Every year we see a Week 1 result that looks baffling by the end of the season. Was this season's weird result the Lions' blowout loss at Green Bay? The Lions look like the better team since then. The November 27th rematch will be very interesting. At number 2 is a 4-0 Eagles team. The Eagles didn't complete a pass in the second half, but were so good in the first half that they still won. Philly is a strange team so far, undefeated, yet have had long stretches in each game in which they did not look good, but they have 3 quality wins with room to grow. Yeah, wins are the thing, guys. That's it. 4-0 is 4-0. You can explain away losses. You don't have to explain away wins. That's the first time I've ever said that, I think. But I think that's right. Like 4-0, you did it. You can be 2-2 and say, if this play went that way and this play went that way, we'd be 4-0 or we'd be 3-1 or whatever. But I think the record is the record. The wins are the wins. We can talk about the losses, but if you get the win, you got the win. Oh, we got lucky to get that one. Yeah, sure. We did enough right that when a little luck came our way, that was enough to get a win, and that's all we were trying to do this week. We're trying to go 1-0, and we did it. So I believe in the Eagles. I'm not going to say stop the season right now and let's have the Super Bowl between the Bills and Eagles, because a lot can happen. But I think this is right. These are teams that win games. Oh, they won it ugly. Yeah. Isn't that cooler than losing it ugly? We spent like 17 years losing ugly. Almost winning. You win. Just win. Eagles are 4-0. They deserve to be 4-0. The Bills are 4-0. They deserve to be 4-0. Who's the best player in the among those 106 players? By a lot. Who has a massive impact on everything? You answer that question. I don't know. Maybe it's Barkley. I don't think it's Barkley, but maybe it's Barkley. All right, number 1 on this list is the Bills. They're 4-0. The Bills didn't blow out the Dolphins or Saints, but worrying about that is a stretch. It's tough to get up for each game in a long season. The Bills won both games by double digits. There's no need to drum up unnecessary drama. The Bills are the best team in the NFL. It's the best paragraph I've ever read as a Bills fan. I've never read a better paragraph. I just read that live. I hadn't read it before. I just read it live on the air, and I could not be more excited. Excited is wrong, but yes, thank you. Thank you, whoever wrote this. Who wrote this? This has to be, I want to talk to this guy. Who is it? God, nobody? Probably nobody. Frank Schwab. I'm going to find Frank Schwab. I'm going to try to get Frank Schwab on the show tomorrow because I think he just summed up everything right there. That is awesome. That is the perfect summation of the team I've been watching for a month. The Bills didn't blow out the Dolphins or Saints, but worrying about that is a stretch. Excellent sentence, no notes. It's tough to get up for each game in a long season. No notes. The Bills won both games by double digits. One note, didn't know that. Excellent point. I mean, I knew that. If you asked me the scores of the games, I probably would have noticed double digits. But, right. Like the Bills didn't cover this week because they were 17-point favorites almost, or whatever it was, 16.5, 15.5, something like that. The Bills won both games by double digits. There's no need to drum up unnecessary drama. The Bills are the best team in the NFL. I want to end the show on that. That is a fantastic quote that I agree with. I agree completely with all of that. And I have to find Frank Schwab and get him on the show. He's my new friend, like Thomas Ian Nicholas. It's 12:15. Nobody jumps in to tell me to shut up. I've been going, all right, that's fine. I want to read the comments. There's a bunch of comments. All right. Inquiring minds want to know. This will be the end of the show. This is, if you're still here, thank you, but you can leave. All I'm doing is reading comments, clearing my throat repeatedly. I don't know what's going on there. I don't feel sick anymore, but my throat is, I'm talking too much. It's fine. Talked a lot yesterday. All right. ER Mom asked 2 hours ago, and I'm just seeing it now. Inquiring minds want to know, was Thomas Ian Nicholas wowed by your golf shoes? No. He didn't notice. He was wearing borrowed golf shoes, using borrowed clubs, but I felt very comfortable in my golf shoes, and I liked them. And I asked my other playing partners, Mark and Josh, if they like them, and they said yes. But, of course they're going to. Do you like my shoes? Somebody says, do you like my shoes? What's the answer? No. What kind of jerk says no to that? Do you like my shoes? No, I do not. Nobody says that. Like, yeah, they're cool. So everybody said, yeah, they're cool. But I got golf shoes. I spent $70 on golf shoes, which is like the least you can possibly spend on golf shoes. And like double what I wanted to spend on golf shoes, but I needed them. That said, the previous golf shoes lasted me close to 20 years. So $70 spread out over 20 years of playing golf. I'm cool. I'm going to wear my cool white Adidas golf shoes. I might never buy another pair of golf shoes. Honestly, I'm 50. I probably won't live past 70. If those golf shoes live 20 years, it's pretty good. Pretty good deal. $70 for golf. I'll never buy golf shoes for the rest of my life. That's pretty good. And they're also like a size bigger than I would normally buy. So if my feet grow, if I hit a growth spurt at age, 58, I'll be fine. So yeah, the golf shoes went well. Tom didn't notice. It's fine. Next question next comment here in the chat. Here is a topic. How about bands/music your mom would not let you listen to while growing up, but now you would be happy if your kids listen to today compared to popular music currently? I'll start with Iron Maiden and Metallica. All right, so Jay Miller says, my mom didn't let me listen to Maiden or Metallica. I had no problems with metal stuff. The problems I had with my parents were, it's not problems with my parents, the musical issues that my parents had, specifically my mom. Right, okay, so he says, your mom wouldn't. My dad didn't care. He doesn't care. What does he care? But my mom was like really pissed about 2 Live Crew. But I didn't even like. I've told this story too many times. I'll tell it again. I didn't own As Nasty as They Want to Be, the album, like as a store-bought cassette, but I grew up in the era of dubbing tapes, like dual cassette deck. You have this, make a copy of it, give it to me. I've got this, I'll make a copy of it, give it to you. So I had, a lot of store-bought cassettes, but I also had a lot of just self-made, dubbed tapes. And I had a tape of As Nasty as They Want to Be. And this was right around the time that Tipper Gore and the PMRC thing was going on. It was on the news all the time. And they were very, very into shutting down Luke Skywalker and the 2 Live Crew. Luther Campbell, that whole thing. The music wasn't worth the attention. But that was what was in the news. And my mom, I don't know, found it in my room or something. And I came home the one day, and on the dining room table was my As Nasty as They Want to Be tape pulled out. You've got to be old like me to picture what that is. But it looked like the largest plate of black spaghetti that you could ever have, with a cassette tape just pulled out, just yanked out, and just piled up on itself. And she was trying to make a point, and really all she did was gave me a thing that I've talked about for 30 years on the radio, because that wasn't even a good album. I didn't like it. I just had it. It was fine. But that was crap music. 2 Live Crew was crap music. And it was weird for them to be the band that was at the center of the whole debate with the PMRC and Tipper Gore and the parental advisory stickers, all that stuff. Music was crap. But that happened. So that's what she didn't want me listening to. We had no problem with any of the... I should save this and do a whole different show about it. You're right. Jay Miller. This is a topic. This isn't a throwaway thing at the end, 22 minutes after the show ends, to be talking about. I should save that. My kids listen to great music. It's awesome. There are, like I've mentioned, my youngest son is, he keeps watching K-pop Demon Hunters. So like that's going in the wrong direction. He might not be a perfect student of music for me, Brad, the psycho music guy. But my other 2 sons are very, very right on the whole thing. All right, next. As a football dad, I never want to see anyone ever hurt playing the game, even if they are a scumbag at any level, Pee-wee to NFL. I agree. And that's why we are not happy. None of us are happy that Tyreek Hill had a almost certainly season-ending, potentially career-ending injury. None of us are happy about that, because we never want to see anyone hurt playing the game, even if they're a scumbag. We never want to see that. So you're just affirming what I'm saying, which is that we are very, very unhappy collectively that Tyreek Hill might never play football again. We are all sad. All of us are sad that we might never see Tyreek Hill, wide receiver who's destroyed the Bills as a member of the Chiefs and has been playing for the Dolphins for the last couple of years. No one, none of us are happy when there's an injury and it's like, oh my God, who is it? And then you look and it's Tyreek Hill. None of us are like, oh, good, it's Tyreek Hill. None of us are like that. And that's what I like about you guys. We're all cool. We're all good human beings. And none of us are happy when a player gets hurt, even if it's Tyreek Hill. We're all Very, very, very sad and worried and praying that he comes back to play for the Dolphins. We're all, or someone else. Sad. So sad. It's so sad. I'll read that again. I never want to see anyone ever hurt playing the game, even if they're a scumbag. Correct. Yeah, none of us want to see that. It's gross. It'd be horrible to be a person rooting for an injury. I'm not talking about rooting for an injury, though, really. I'm talking about there was an injury, and now who is it? Somebody got hurt. Who is it? Oh, no, it's the worst person alive. Oh, no, that sucks. Next comment. We're doing a couple more comments, and then we're leaving. If you've never heard Tig Notaro's She Leans 5'8" story involving Nicole Kidman, Google it. Okay. Not going to do it on the show right now, but I will. I definitely haven't heard it because I've never heard anything Tig Notaro. I know she exists. I know she's a comedian who does like, I know it's not funny, but it's still comedy, kind of comedy. But all right, I'll look into that because Ben said to look into it. If Ben says to do it, I do it. Then he gave me the YouTube link, so I'll watch that. And then I got, what is this tune? 44 minutes ago from Mike, and I don't know what the tune would have been 44 minutes ago. Best guess is like Marah, Marah, my favorite band no one knows, from outside of Philly. That's my guess, but I don't know. I'll figure it out. Mike, if you're still listening somehow, send me a text. I know Mike. Send me a text, and we'll solve this issue. We'll figure it out. All right, I'm done. Thank you for listening. I went way longer than I planned. 12:26. Are you kidding? Maybe that's the longest I've talked. But I took a day off yesterday, and I'm sorry, and I'm apologetic, and I'm trying to be friendly with everybody. And Josh called and talked about playing golf with Tom and all this stuff. So that was fun. Thank you, everyone, for putting up with me not doing a show yesterday and continuing, bringing it back today. I'm going to play a song. We'll get out of here. Long song? Yeah. Oh, this one's so good. All right. I don't, I do mix in Tool songs every now and then. In the same way that if you ask me, what's your favorite movie? I would have a different answer every time. Like, this might, I watch a movie, I'm like, this might be my favorite movie of all time. And I've got like 26 of those. It's probably more like 11 of those. Same with songs. This is a song that when I am listening to it, I think, this might be my favorite song by this band of all time. Even though there are bigger, more popular, more famous songs, the song Eulogy by Tool is right there. When I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is great. And I recommend headphones because it does a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's a long song. This is the only thing I'm going to play, I think, before playing the little close. And then we'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock, regular show, with full preparation. It won't just be winged like today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks to Brian Janik of the Financial Guys for being our primary sponsor here at writerradio.com.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
I don't know. Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
You get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?